So I read this story from Forbes.com. Forbes is one of those magazines that attracts apparently business and rich people. So they know what they're talking about with business. And the writer's Mitch Lawrence, longtime New York sports writer, very, very good NBA guy. New York's got great NBA writers. And the title here is What LeBron James and the Cavs Are Doing in the NBA. It's their number one problem when stars sit out of games. Can I just expose a little hypocrisy of fans? I'm going to pick on the fans for just 30 seconds here. You call shows, you go on Twitter and Facebook, you judge players solely on titles. And when they build their season to take rest days to be healthier for the title, you complain about it. You're the guy that complains. You want titles. If you don't win titles, you're not MJ. So a player's like, all right, I'm going to kind of orchestrate my season so I can take like that dead day back-to-back against Memphis. I'll take that. Oh, what a bum. It's just good business. But let me say something else about the NBA, because let me defend NBA players for a second. These owners, a lot of these owners aren't going to tell you, but a lot of these owners don't like this whole players playing together. LeBron, Wade, Bosh, getting all teamed up. Do you know why players are doing that? Because of the greedy owners. Here's the truth about the NBA. The greedy owners push for expansion. Who wins with expansion? It dilutes the product, and you put teams in cities that stars, people with options in life, don't want to play in. But owners split $800 million expansion fees, so they buy another 4 yachts. Yet it creates all these franchises, the Vancouver Grizzlies, in the NFL, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yeah, like there was a big need for that. The Columbus Blue Jackets in hockey, the Tampa Bay Rays. Yeah, like the sport needed the Tampa Bay Rays in the Red Sox Yankee division. It needed a small market with one Fortune 500 company. I got nothing against Tampa. I've lived there. Fine place. But Orlando, the Magic have had 2 stars. Both have left. Okay, so the greedy owners create markets that nobody needs. And then when the star players don't want to live there and would rather live in Miami or Chicago or New York or L.A., how can these players collaborate? Because they didn't get a say in the expansion, even though you got an $800 million expansion fee on the back of the players. In fact, if you looked at the latest collective bargaining agreement in the NBA, you have to jerry-rig the whole system so players stay in Milwaukee. How about get rid of Milwaukee? You got to jerry-rig the system so Orlando and some of these small markets can keep their teams. The new collective bargaining agreement has created, in some instances, a 6-year circumstance, meaning that an unglamorous town can keep their player and pay him more than everybody else. I mean, it's like socialism. It's like jerry-rigging the NBA government, forcing players very few options. I've said this before. Small towns are for high school sports and small colleges. Mid-sized town are for major colleges. Cities are for pro sports, economically. Now, you have some grandfathered in that work like the Green Bay Packers. Clearly, it works. Awesome. But if I had my NBA map, this is what it would look like. I'd have 14 teams. Big market Seattle, a lot of corporations up there. Then I'd have a team, Golden State, the Lakers, the Rocky Mountains covered with the Nuggets. I'd have 2 teams in Texas. I'd have the Mavericks in major city Dallas, the Rockets in huge city Houston. I'd have the T-Wolves in corporate-friendly Minneapolis. I'd have the Bulls. I'd have the Hawks in Atlanta, the Miami Heat, then 3 teams in the populated Northeast, the Celtics, the Knicks, and Philadelphia. Sorry, Washington, you're a football town. And I wouldn't necessarily put Cleveland in there, but I'd just name LeBron a city, and wherever he goes gets a franchise. That would be it, and the NBA would be fine. And by the way, stars wouldn't have to pick and choose where they want to play because they'd all be in cities with urban environments, with enough people, growing towns, big cities, multiple sports. They don't feel like the big fish in the tiny. And you say, what about the San Antonio Spurs? Yes, they've made an incredible story out of that franchise. But if I was starting it today, I wouldn't put one in San Antonio. These guys don't want to be the biggest fit. Damon Stoudemire told me this years ago for Portland. He goes, I love playing in Toronto There was a major league team, there's a hockey team, there's a CFL team, and there was an NBA team. He goes, as an African-American, I could disappear. You start putting some of these guys in Utah and Orlando and other markets, and, they feel like, the only game in town. So everybody complains about all these players. The owners created this, getting expansion fees in all these leagues to create the Jacksonville, and I got nothing against Jacksonville, the Columbus Blue Jackets, the Vancouver Grizzlies. There was no big want for that. People weren't demanding that. And so you expand the league, and suddenly players are like, you want more games, you want more appearances. They had another. Instead of the first round being 5 games, now the first round series, instead of 3 games, it's 5. Instead of 5, it's 7. It's more and more and more. And the players finally said, enough. We want to control some things. We're going to go all play in Miami because it's an awesome city. We're going to go play in Chicago because it's an awesome city. So again, we blame the players because that's easy. The owners, you could chop 5 teams out of every league right now, and the leagues would be better. The product would be better. God, you go to some of these NBA, you go to some of these baseball games. Vin Scully came on the air about 2 years ago and said, some of these teams are AAA baseball teams. You're paying major league prices. They're AAA baseball teams. And there's a lot of AAA players right now in big league baseball. And by the way, LeBron James saying about sitting out against the Grizzlies, because everybody's upset about that. Here's LeBron James, the world's greatest basketball player, the world's best ambassador for basketball, who's carried the league for 15 years. Here he is.
I've been in this league 14 years. I shouldn't have to explain me sitting out games or not playing games. I've played in every arena, including Seattle, that's no longer here, including some other places. So, it's not like it's my first year. I got 14 years. I've paid my dues more than a lot of guys in this league. But I'm riding with my coach.
Okay, let me just add this. Hey, Memphis, instead of bellyaching Memphis, you do realize, Memphis, they gave you a W last night, and you didn't even barely have to work for it. And you're a bubble team looking for a home court advantage. So think about this. The owners of the Memphis Grizzlies, a bubble home court team. They're a 5 seed. You want to be a top 4 seed to get home court advantage. That's an extra game for your owners, which they make about $4 million. A playoff game will make you about $4 million as an owner. You got a W last night that allows Memphis, they're in the 5 spot. That could be the game that gets you a home court advantage in the playoffs in a home game. And you're complaining about it? You should send LeBron a thank you note.
Oh, no.
And here's another thing. What's happened in the NBA and all these leagues, by the way, is that the television revenue is so enormous. The key for LeBron is just don't miss television games. Do not. That's when Greg Popovich got in trouble on the Christmas Day game when he didn't send his guys to Miami. The commissioner said, no. This missing game for LeBron was actually very smartly calculated. It was, say it out loud, it was a Wednesday game in Memphis, part of a back-to-back. It was a Wednesday game in Memphis. Wasn't on television. The Memphis fans had seen him on TV the night before. If you look at their schedule, it's one of 2 or 3 Cavs games you would take off. It doesn't hurt the owners. It doesn't hurt the league. And Memphis, you could argue, as a bubble team with a home court advantage, could benefit from an extra win. When the Spurs and Pop were sitting there players, it was a TNT game. I don't think it was Christmas, but it was a TNT game. And the league was furious because the league knows now they make way more money. They monetize television more than gate receipts. So LeBron's not missing the TV games. He's ready for the TV games. He understands where his bread is buttered. He takes care of the commissioner. He takes care of the networks. LeBron's very good about that. But he did a non-TV game in a back-to-back against a fairly anonymous franchise, and we're eating him alive. Come on now. Come on now. Yeah, I'll tell you what. You, Kristine, this is what's amazing. Think about this. Mm-hmm. Think about this. In a weird way, couldn't I argue this, guys? That now, obviously, we're not as big, but we're the players. We're the athletes. Our bosses are management, and Rupert Murdoch is like the commissioner. All right, okay. Right? So You and I are like, we should always defend players because you and I are the well-compensated employee with a shelf life on our employment.
Right.
Why would I ever say, yeah, the billionaire's getting hosed here? LeBron has a tiny shelf life. He's made now 2 owners $500 million apiece by showing up to their franchise. For the record, now that LeBron and D-Wade have left, what's happened to the Miami Heat? Unwatchable. This league is run by players, not by coaches and GMs. It's not even run by owners. But owners, many of the current NBA owners, bought their franchises in the last 8 years, and the price point was brutally high. And they got banknotes. And every nickel counts. Again, that's not when Abe Pollin bought Washington, they cost him a nickel. He sells it for $500 million. You got bank loans. Again, when Jerry Colangelo had Phoenix, he got him for a nickel. He sells them to the Sarver Group. They pay $450 million. They're like, oh my God, I need LeBron to play tonight. That's your issue. That you bought a house for more than it was worth. Don't blame the homeowner. You're the guy that mortgaged your banknotes. So, yeah, sorry that I'm defending players here, but I will always defend the NBA player over the owner.